This is the very last machine out of all the original ones that I bought on eBay. So I'm hanging on to this one, although if somebody makes me an offer I can't refuse, well then I'll go have visitation rights, hopefully. It was profitable, and it also, the thing that I had no idea when I started out on this, I was able to meet a lot of people, and it opened a lot of doors. And, you know, like for example, having the opportunity to chat with y'all today here. I found about probably 80 to 90% of the buyers were Democrats, and Republicans didn't buy them, or were a lot less interested. So maybe it was because, you know, the Democrats lost as a result of these. At least that's what, you know, some folks want to believe or want to say and want to perpetuate. These have been used for several, or were used for several decades all across the country, and people, you know, sat there and punched them through and everything, you know, going on like that. But they were never intended to be used by people in terms of doing that. So if you get 99.99% of people punching it all the way through and everything's fine, and the little chad pops out so it's not hanging or dimpled or pregnant or all the other kinds of chads that you have out there. If you get 99.99% of those right, that's how you end up with 537 vote margin, which it was in the state of Florida back in 2000, out of 6 million votes cast. The importance is, you know, the never-ending, you know, role of technology and human error that goes into things. So you can get it right almost all the time, but so we're talking about the punch card machines were around up till 2000, got tossed. All brand new machines were bought. The counties that went and bought the touchscreens, those got tossed. They needed to get the new ones in by 2006, and certainly by 2008 for the presidential cycle. Okay, is it a mechanical problem or the election, the supervisor of elections down there? Well, the supervisor of elections, and a lot of people don't know all these little details and the minutia how all this stuff works, but the supervisor of elections all across the country, they design a ballot and then they hand it off to the local county chairperson for the Democrats and for the Republicans. And they say, please take a look at this, here's your deadline, double check it, make sure we didn't spell anything wrong, make sure it's, you know, everything's fine. So they did that down there in Palm Beach County. Probably ask a lot of questions and go around and interview a lot of election officers, and you know, obviously talk to the vendors of the voting equipment that these other countries are thinking about buying. But you know, at the same time, I always look at things like, don't believe everything a salesperson tells you, you know, because they're obviously trying to sell something. Look at the track record of the equipment that's actually out there in the field. So, and it's so important because like we were talking about earlier, it's voter integrity, and not voter integrity necessarily, vote integrity, ballot integrity. Do the people believe in the system? Because if the people don't believe in the system that they're using, you got all kinds of problems, and people start wondering about, well, is it rigged? You know, there's always going to be conspiracy theorists out there. There's always going to be people who are thinking, oh, somebody's hacking into the voting system, and none of the votes really matter, and it doesn't matter that we, you know, just went through an election cycle where the 2 presidential campaigns crossed over the $1 billion mark. You got to try to get 99.99 whatever percent as high as possible. And you can, from an election point of view, you want to hope that one candidate wins by enough that built-in mechanical or human error is small enough that it's not going to flip the outcome of an election.